Well, I got my fuel cell enclosure basically done. You can see I made it all out of one piece, so it goes around the corner there and down to the bottom. I made a big cardboard pattern, and so that way I only had to make it one time. But I had a lip here to where I can put screws in it. Goes around the latch. Got a little hatch on here for the fuel cell, and another one for the battery, which is made out of old road sign because it's thick aluminum. This is thin aluminum though. This is some stuff I got from a dirt track place. And I also have it going over the corner there. Took me a while to make the cardboard pattern to do that, but it was worth it now, you know, because I only had to do it once. So anyway, so there's the fuel cell enclosure. I like how it turned out. I had zip tied a tack. I stole one out of the wagon because it wasn't even hooked up anyway. I used the tack output on the wagon to lock my torque converter. Or no, I think it's the nitrous. There is my tack mounting, which I'm going to use. I bought a big sheet of aluminum, so I'm going to make my dash. I'm going to make a dash out of aluminum and mount everything in it. But a lot of this stuff up here, as far as gauges wise, is some of that stuff is just temporary. Anyway, the last video I had, I was showing you guys how I welded a plate in this thermostat, and I only drilled this one hole in it right here first, which I think is like a 7/16 hole, maybe. Just that one hole, and it did all right. It did not overheat, but it got up to temperature a lot faster, and it with nothing in here at all, with no thermostat at all, going down the interstate for 20 minutes at a time, it would get up to about 199, and then in town it would be, you know, 170-ish, and idling. So this seemed to get up to about where it wanted to stay, about 190 all the time, and if you go like stay at a high speed, it would get up, you know, 210. So that didn't help at all. So I want to experiment some more. So I drilled another hole just like it next to it, another 7/16 hole, and I drilled two smaller holes here. They're like 1/4 inch holes, and we'll see what that does. If that doesn't make it cooler than what it was open thermostat, I'll just take this thing back out, and I'll cut the whole thing back out like it was and just leave it alone. Just trying to experiment with it, you know. It may not help at all, but I was feeling like it was, you know, moving the water through the radiator too quickly, possibly at sustained high RPM driving. So with my Misfire, I changed the plugs, and then I changed the plug wire on this cylinder that's giving the problems, and I changed both these coils because this one, the end was cracked on it. Like basically all this plastic piece under here was gone, and this coil, that was the cylinder that was having trouble, had a crack down this also. So I changed both those coils. As you saw in one of the other videos, I put the little gray plastic insert in this plug-in, and none of that seemed to help. I was still picking up a miss on the wideband, still leaner on this side of the motor than it was that side. So then I ordered a set of fuel injectors off of eBay, off the part number of the injectors that I had before in here, and it's a GM flex fuel injector is what it is. So when they came in, they were wrong. Even though they had them on eBay with the same part number, they weren't the same part number injector. So I sent those back, ordered another set of injectors that had the pictures of them up that looked exactly like these, same part number. So when they came in, they've already been cleaned and flowed and all that stuff, they say. So when I came in, I decapped this one. This is the only one I changed. I decapped it and put it in there. And it does seem to be on the, when I look at my data logs, it does seem to be better now. So I think I may have fixed it. There was still a little bit of a lean kind of stumble at the very first of the pool, but then it flattened out. And it had basically the same air-fuel ratio as the other side of the motor, because I made a pool on this side of the motor, and then I moved my wide band to that side of the motor, and it seemed to be about the same. But the weirdest thing happened. As soon as I put that new injector in, oh, the donkeys are talking to us. As soon as I put that new injector in and started it up, the motor was dead lean. It was dead lean the whole time I drove it. So I don't know what's caused it to go lean. Like, it's lean across the whole spectrum, you know, from idle to cruising, wide open throttle. It was lean all the way across. So that's got me weirded out. I don't know why it's lean. So it's almost like the required fuel number changed, which it didn't, or like the whole fuel map was scaled down. I don't know why it went lean. So another thing I did after that, after it was lean, I just reaching the whole thing up. I don't know what happened. After that, I've been trying to figure out how far this fuel pump will go. So I had the base fuel pressure set at 60 psi. So I looked into it and I realized, you know, any electric fuel pump flows more fuel at a lower pressure. So I lowered my fuel pressure to 40 psi, and then I had to do even more, you know, changing on. Then I did change the required fuel. I lowered the fuel pressure to 40. Then I went into the general settings and I bumped the required fuel number up until I got back to my like 14-to-1 air fuel at idle, and drove it. And when I make a pull on it, which I had to retune the whole fuel map, but when I made some pulls on it, once I got it kind of ironed out, the thing will be at like 11 something air fuel, and in like middle of the pool, it's getting in the 12.5-to-1 air fuel, where it likes it, runs good there, and then it gales up to like at the top of the pool, it's like 14-to-1 air fuel. And so it's so weird is if you line up on the fuel map where it's at each one of those points, down here in first gear, when I'm at, you know, say 40, let's say 4,000 RPM and 100 kPa, because it's all motor right now. You know, on this end, in the bottom of first gear, it's rich. So you go on the fuel map and you lean it out at that spot. Well, when you look, you get the top of first gear, you shift, and you're back at that point again. You're back at the same point in the fuel map at 4,000 RPM, 100 kPa. It should be the exact same air fuel there as it was in first gear at that same point, because the motor's doing the same thing. It's at wide open throttle, 100 kPa. It's at 4,000 RPM. It should fuel exactly the same. Well, what it's doing is, down here it's at, say, 12.0 air fuel at that 4,000 RPM in first gear. Well, when I make the shift and it drops, and it's at 4,000 RPM in second gear, it's at 13.5-to-1 air fuel. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to move this gauge to where I can see it, because I'm about 100% sure that I'm dropping fuel pressure. I think the guy at Airmotive said that this fuel pump's only good for like maybe 500-600 horsepower, and really this motor should make over 500 on motor. So I think the reason it's getting gradually leaner as the pool goes on, no matter what I do, is it's just running out of fuel pressure. It just can't pump that much pressure at wide open throttle. So I think I need to get a fuel pump, which stinks because they're expensive. So anyway, there's the update. I think I'm going to move this steam vent hose. I don't like it being here. I think I'm going to put it in the water pump there. So that may be my next little thing I do here. But anyway, there you go, guys. There's your update video. The wagon's still running on E85. I'm maxing the injectors out at like 14 pounds of boost. It runs out of fuel injector. But it's running on E85. I love it. It smells good. So that's my daily driver right now, of course. So anyway, there you go.